it's super nice to be here with you. I'm a little bit nervous because this is completely out of my comfort zone. I am a designer, so it has not been a long time ago, that it's only a couple of years that I work in this domain of the natural science. So this is why I thought I'm going to talk about co-design. Why? Especially because I am super passionate about that, and because a lot of your projects deal with co-design. So who of you have something to do with co-design, co-creation, or stakeholder engagement in your work? Yes, okay, for you is this presentation. So I hope I can say something that is useful for you. And I am so passionate about that I'm going to tell you that not only I work that I receive a salary for working during this, using this framework, but I also podcast. So I have 700 episodes that's published on co-design. So I have been interviewing people working on co-design during 8 years. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go running, wash your dishes, listening a podcast on co-design. So now I'm going to tell a little bit more about. First of all, I'm working for IRISCC, and IRISCC is Integrated Carbon Observation Systems, is a research infrastructure. For the ones, this specific research infrastructure is producing standardized high-quality greenhouse gas data. So what does it mean is that we have 180 stations all around Europe, and we take care that you in Greece, you in Spain, and me in Finland, we measured using the same standards and protocols. And IRISCC is an ERIC, it's not a project. That means that we have long-term funding. So these measurements are long-term, and this is key, and it's also key in this co-design, and I will explain you more about that. So all IRISCC data is open access, so all of you can use it as much as you want. It's free. It's openly available through our carbon portal, and the idea there is that there is one-stop shop for observational data and all these products and services. And this is where someone that that is a designer, I am a service designer, I am working in how to make this type of data services available for policymakers and for researchers and for whoever that wants to use them. So the data are always provided using CC BY for license, so open licenses, and you can see, for example, the IRISCC curve that is like a visualization is one of our services. So what is IRISCC, the project that we have named? I am collaborated with Nico. Thank you for inviting Nico. In IRISCC, we are doing a lot of different things. The most important is that we are setting up a catalog of service for climate risks. So there are services that are given for many, many different partners. So IRISCC, it has a 14 million euro project, 5 years, 16 different research infrastructures are part of that, environmental research infrastructures, and many universities. And so there is more or less 80 partners for giving you the big picture, right? So what we are doing? Nikos is, for example, there is leading the creation of one of these service design labs. And in our team, we are working with the Soil Carbon Service Design Lab. So what is a service design lab? You remember that in the previous presentations, I talked about living labs. Well, we wanted to be more original. We don't talk about living labs because we create services, but it's the same idea that we have universities, researchers, citizens, policymakers together co-designing services. So between living labs and service design labs, the difference is that we are creating services. And our work relates to the work that Panos have just introduced, the one related to carbon removal certification framework, this CRCF. That we are working, the European Parliament is working on that, and we are trying to understand what could it be our contribution there. So now a little bit of the co-design. And these are the type of things that I have been listening during my time working in this area, that, okay, we are consulting stakeholders through a survey, check, this is co-design. Well, that's not co-design. We are trying to convince the stakeholders to do what we think is the best. That's neither co-design. Asking them to validate your concept of idea. That might be a part of co-design, but it cannot definitely be co-design. Providing only the opportunity to participate in a certain part of the development of a solution. That's not co-design. And designing in my bubble and then try to push it because it's my baby and I want you to use it and love it. No, that's it. So the idea there, if we take this ladder of participation, this is a very well-known within designers, this answer ladder. We have there is this non-participation, where you try to manipulate or only inform, okay, here is my thing. But then you kind of create a partnership, and these three upper levels are the ones that are what we consider co-design, when there is a delegation of control, when you say, okay, now it's the policymakers that are asking me to do certain things that could be useful for them, and then I am starting to co-design, when it's not my own initiative, but I am following, I am accompanying with design and not trying to push my own ideas. So, who are the stakeholders in the Soil Carbon Service Design Lab? We have the private sector, the public sector, and the third sector. That's for simplifying things. But what we have been doing is I have created a set of cards with many possible stakeholders, and we have been working with these are a set of persona cards. And then we have always you have some empty ones because some new roles might come there. So we have been using these personas card and also some that depict the service, so different elements of the services. And we have been making this co-design together. So we have been creating future utopian scenarios. And when we talk about the scenarios, I wanted to stop 1 second here, because when you have scenarios, you always predict things. And for example, Jose in the morning was talking about scenarios, and our scenarios are narratives of how things can come. So we just tell the story. Okay, this person needs that and is going to use it in that specific way. So they are not only diagrams or axes and curves, but they are stories. So we use these different type of cards that depict the system and the personas there to understand these future scenarios, and to think in the future services and the gaps, especially the gaps. What are the parts that we don't have still and we need in the moment of implementing this carbon farming, carbon removal directive that is coming from the EU, as you heard Panos comment before. I'm not entering into that. So, what was the first stage? So we created a methodology to be able to engage stakeholders and understand the complexity of the topic. And then we have been using these scenarios together with our stakeholders and partners in Finland. So you could see that, for example, Marta was the PI of a station, and Antti was the farmer, and Antti was in the farmer union giving advice to David, that was the farmer, and Salama was in the public agency, and well, how they relate and how we thought that the ideal or the utopian scenario could work. And this we have been testing and using as a tangible object for conversations with different stakeholders. And we have also been always been mapping the different EU projects that relate to carbon farming that were important for us. We have been understanding the money flow in these future utopian scenarios and how we envision that in Finland. It might be that in other countries might be different. The data input, so what David the farmer was giving to our service, what was Marta the researcher coming, what was the PI of a station entering into, and how all these worked together to have the baseline that we need to assess, what the farmer has been doing. And then, of course, the data outputs. And then we have been also working with these future utopian scenarios online. This is the one that you remember Carlos from the Carbon Farming Met. We have involved him to do with his team a future utopian scenario. So we have tested this online and he did his own one. So when we say of how do we do this co-design. So our future utopian scenarios are designed with the stakeholders and allowed always them to make their own proposals, so express their ideas, understand the contradictions, and make complex things easy to comment. So the whole idea when we have these stakeholders gathering is that you are able to tell me, hey, what you are saying is wrong. It's not working like that. It should be working in this way. So the possibility to have their different perspectives is super important and is part of co-designing. So when do we engage? We engage on permanent basis, but especially at this moment, because we are starting with this project, we engage in the creation of new concepts. But we have been working, as you see, we have been working in different settings with different type of stakeholders. So in ELTER conference, we were engaging with researchers in the Carbon Farming Summit, that was mentioned today a couple of times. And we are going, for example, to Padua in the next couple of weeks to also engage with new stakeholders. And where do they engage? Always in their turf. So we go to their place. We go to where stakeholders are. So in the case, for example, of doing things together with farmers, we go to their Christmas party in order to talk to them and be able to understand. And why is that we go to their place? Because in that place they are comfortable and they can tell us how they want the things to be, and they are more confident about. They are in their own way. It's in their own way. So what were we co-designers? So we identified, for example, in this farmers network Christmas party type of gathering, we identified obstacles for farmers, attitudes, know-how, and learning, the lack of financial support and the lack of representation in the policy. So, and the communications gaps. These are the type of things that they show us. When we did interviews to the researchers, we understand that there is a key data set that is called the CROP 2021 and is underdeveloped, and this could be shared through our carbon portal. So we are working into that. And also, we have been expanding the possibilities of existing services, which is the Field Observatory. Field Observatory is a visualization service that is in Finland, but we have been adding to that 5 ICOS agricultural stations. So a way is also not to start from scratch, but build on existing services. This is also co-designing. And then the best practices in other EU countries to support the transition from the tier 1 to tier 3. So different EU countries have different ways of organizing the future implementation of CCRCF, and this is what we have been working on in these workshops. And then lately we had stakeholders in Finland, this time sitting in the same table, the farmers together with the policymakers and the private sector and the researchers, trying to understand, getting all the stakeholders represented and trying to understand what are these future services that they need. So what are we co-designing at the end is that we are developing the Crown 2021 dataset and sharing through the Carbon Portal. This is what we have identified, and this is based on the need to provide scientific data to the MRV system, which is the monitoring, reporting and verification system. Adding ICOS agricultural science to field observatory, so based on the need to expand existing services, and creating a platform for shared Earth observation data. And this we are doing as part of a collaboration with another EU project, which is Soil Tribes. So this is driven by farmers' demand for improved science-based decision-making tools. And this is what they told us. So, for concluding, the co-design requires shared moments of reflection throughout every stage of the development of the solution, and also a long-term commitment to these partners involved. So, for example, we are working with the Baltic Sea Action Group, which are the ones keeping and sustaining the network of farmers in Finland. So we want to work with them because they have a contact that is long-term and not only based on one project. So it's this collaboration will continue even if our little project finish. Engaging with the stakeholder in co-design means accepting the uncertainty and the tensions that come with making decisions that you couldn't have made alone. No? Like all these decisions of what are these key three concepts we are working could not be taken beforehand. We did not know what to do at the beginning of this project. And this engagement ensures that solutions are embraced and that stakeholders are genuinely committed to them, so that when we have these services in place, we assure that they will be used. So this is all, and I really hope I get questions from you. Thank you.